Hi guys, how often we keep hearing these terms, especially like addiction, cell phone addiction, or any habit which is addicting you and deviating you to achieve your goal. Now a recent survey tells that around 76 people suffer from this syndrome called as addiction, which is nothing but it is stopping you to perform according to your full potential. That's a huge threat. You have talent, you have focus, but you just can't apply on it because something is making you spend time on it for hours and hours. And that's the issue of this today's session. How we can control our addictions and deviations, and I name it as dopamine detox, and it has something to do with that chemical which is there in our brain. Now, a simple case study. You have an option where you are having 30 minutes to spend on your hobby. That might be a video game or anything you can substitute on that. If it is watching cricket, that might be your hobby, or if it is playing shuttle or something like that. And you have an option like spending some books on 4 hours, where you have a competitive exam lined up, where you have a semester exam lined up. Now eventually you will choose this option without any doubt. Why? Because that 30 minutes which you are spending on your hobby will release high amount of dopamine. Now the question arises, basically when you know that spending 4 hours on the books or maybe cycling or any good activity which is productive, actually you know that these options are good, but you still don't make up the right choice. Why? Because it's not your fault. This chemical which you see, this is called as dopamine. What is dopamine? Now it's very simple, that whatever hobby you choose in your life, you spend hours and hours irrespective of the conditions. Even though you don't care of sleep, you don't care of food, you spend high amount of it. For example, if you have taken a great picture which you feel that you have dressed up nicely in it, and you have posted it in Instagram. Now for every half an hour, for every 30 minutes, 1 hour, you keep checking the response of it, how many people have liked it, how many have commented it, because it releases pleasure. Whatever human beings do, it is for pleasure. Any hobby, and like smoking, drinking, even watching porn, it's obviously directly amount of dopamine. So dopamine is a chemical in our brain which releases pleasure hormone, and that's why you tend to do it more and more, and hours and days. But when this pleasure hormone gets uncontrollable, we call it as addiction. So what does pleasure do? It acts as a bridge. It motivates you, it keeps the focus on it, and it generates interest. But the problem is today's modern world. Today's modern world, any business mostly focus on the products, the food items, the gadgets. When they release it, because they are spending lot of millions of dollars on it, they do a careful study of that the amount of dopamine gets released is on a higher uncontrollable level or not. As a result, and a lot of studies are saying that the hobbies are turning into addictions, and that's a danger. When a hobby turns into addiction, you get cornered, you live a life which is very closed, you lose exposure to what is happening outside, and you tend to deviate from all the other things which are so important and productive. For example, a company which even releases chips, they are trying it on multiple formats, whether when the consumer is having the chips, whether the pleasure hormone is in a peak level or not. That's when, instead of eating 3 or 4 packets per day, he will end up eating 10 packets. Now, when this much study is going on, you obviously tend to prove, or you tend to perform less than your potential. When you perform less than your potential, you will never come up out of the comfort zone, and you will end up having these addictions. Now again, a simple case study. This is your brain, and you know this is a pleasure. To reach to this pleasure level, this is the road where you have a competitive exam and you need to study. This is a shortcut road where you are playing a video game and you are reaching the same pleasure. So any human brain will adopt the shortcut. That is the danger, because your brain obviously takes a shortcut. So not your fault, the dopamine fault. Now identifying the problem itself is not enough. When you identify the problem, a wise person, an intelligent person will look up for the solution. How to fix the problem? Yes, you have realized that you are spending too much time on some hobbies so that you are not able to control it. Can you fix it? Yes, in 24 hours. In 24 hours means just one day of your life you can actually control this pleasure hormone. How? Take a calendar. In a week, choose one particular day. One particular day where you are choosing it to stop that pleasure activities. For example, your own cell phone is your addiction. Choose one fine Saturday, Monday, or whatever your choice. Tick that where you have taken a pledge to yourself that you are not going to use that particular thing at all. What happens? Definitely there will be a pleasure hormone control. Nice example. I am a guy who never used to like to eat paneer since my school to say first year of engineering. I hate paneer for whatever might be the reason. It doesn't smell good to me, it doesn't look good to me, so I never had paneer. Now, eventually I joined hostel. The rest of the food which is being offered is worse than paneer. I am not, able to have it. So instead of starving, I started having paneer. What happens is my taste buds, without any choice, starts getting adopted to the paneer. So that here the pleasure hormone, which used to be zero when I used to eat paneer, has now increased. So dopamine detox works at the same level. You are trying to balance the pleasure hormones by doing the things which you don't used to like before, but now you are liking. Why? Because you are pulling down the balance. Now see, there are two techniques. One is active, one is passive. So active happens when you are shutting down your mobile phone for 1 month. Somebody is snatching it away. Somebody is controlling you. Somebody is monitoring you. Somebody is supervising you. You hate it. It's eventually because when you are under someone's influence, you hate it. But if you do the passive rule, like one day, one hour per day, or might be some particular days, like you, for example, everybody has their favorite god. They fast for their god. Saturdays, Thursdays. Like that, to control this pleasure hormone, you choose a particular day. Like try with your mobile phone or try with your favorite game, whatever it might be. You knows better. Here you are not being supervised by anyone. This you are doing as a self-measure. So when you have this passive rule, definitely whatever things used to release you the pleasure hormones are not at all active now. So you are not doing any magic. You are not taking a great step. You are treating your brain as a machine, right? You are trying to control it. So list some of the activities like social media or watching porn or maybe video games, TV shows. Slowly, you are saying that, see, for today, just one day, I am not going to touch you. Like, it's like fasting, right? I am going to have a mobile fast today. I am going to have a video game fasting today. So what happens is indirectly this chemical, when it stops releasing, when you do some other activities, the transformation, the shift will happen. And that's where basically the whatever things used to bore you before, like if reading was a very boring activity, right? If observing something was very boring activity, eventually it will turn as your choice. Why? Because there is no option. There is no option at all. That the paneer example will work here. So similarly, don't do dopamine activities in between the break. That will be a big mess. You are promising yourself that I will study for 2 hours. In between 10 minutes, I will have a video game. Or I will have this, Instagram chat. That 2 hours also, your mind is waiting for that pleasure 10 minutes. It is not releasing the dopamine here. Don't do that break activities that will fail you and give you bad results. Instead, do it on a regular basis. Have a fixed time period. So what will happen is, your dopamine fasting technique will work. So it's very simple. The day when you start achieving control on your mind, you're the king of your life. There's no bigger power than that when you start controlling your brain. Controlling your brain is controlling your pleasure activities. Here nobody is saying you to say goodbye to your hobbies, saying you to forget everything and sacrifice your life. No, you are just bringing the balance, the bloody balance with a very simple technique called as dopamine detox. So what happens is your life will become productive. Whatever time you are giving for something, now you are not giving out of force, you are giving out of choice. So the result which never used to come even after 3 hours of study will now come in 30 minutes of study. Similarly, the other activities. So, hi guys. So this is the very important technique which is being applied in the European countries, also in the universities. So similar content, I am trying to work on it. Thank you for watching.